Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rescue Owners Live. My name is Kirk, and you are on with the one and only Beth Mote. We are married too, by the way, so we do have the same last name. So, this is season 2, episode 21. Mm-hmm. Next week will be a full year. A full year.
It's a long time.
Wow. Every single week, we're coming to you live, Rescue Owners Live, hence the name, talking about how we can help you grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably, all while achieving your personal, professional, financial goals. If you've been on with us, this whole time, congratulations. I'm super impressed. But if you are new tonight, whether you're new, whether you've been with us this whole time, or anywhere in between, throw in the chat where you are tuning in from. We love to know where our audience is. We have a worldwide audience, have people in multiple countries, but let us know city, state, and country if you're out of the U.S. We are coming to you live from the Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Braves. They're, kind of World Series champs. We're going to ride that for a full year until I don't know how long you can ride a world championship, but Atlanta Braves until you're not anymore. I love it. Malcolm Smith, Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining us, sir. Patrick, how's it going, sir? And I see you got a question here. I want to throw that up on the screen so everyone can see it. I'm interested in starting my own CPR lifeguarding business. What do I need to know? Great question, Patrick. And there's a lot of things when it comes to business that, you might have a specific trade. And this is what we run into all the time is when it comes to trades, when it comes to instructors, when it comes to services, you have an instructor or you have a talent that's really, really good at one specific thing, whether that's teaching people how to save lives, whether that's, lifeguarding, whether that's, what's another good one? The fire, the flame, and you're like
welding.
That's the one. Welding. These like plumbing, right? HVAC. Yeah. All these types of businesses are going to be things where a person is really specialized at one specific thing, but they may not know all they need to know about business.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about the business side and how we can help you grow your business more effectively, efficiently, and profitably. So the first thing I want to share with you, and I'm going to throw this in the chat here, is we have a course called To Go. And let me see if I can throw that in here. Boom. Is that working? All right, that's the long link. I don't have a short second link for tonight, but that is the long link. Start to grow method is what I believe the fastest way to start, manage, and grow your business. Okay. Content includes 3 sections with, of course, bonuses, but section number 1 is how to start your business. We dive into your location, your business structure, your business name. When I say business name, we're going through to make sure that no one else has that name, because guess what? We've been there. We accidentally got the wrong name, and we got to cease and desist.
Well, we had someone set it up for us.
Oh yeah, we paid someone.
We thought that
to do the work.
Do that too.
They didn't do the work, and they cut corners. So all this to say is, certain things you need to do yourself. All right, you need to do the research, and you need to know. And that's what this
or even
course
just
is
know
all
to
about.
double check that someone's done it. Like,
Right.
what all does this include? Does it actually do the things that I need it to do?
These are things that we've done and screwed up. All right. I mean, things that we've absolutely messed up on.
All the things and mistakes we've made that you don't need to.
Right. How would you like to leapfrog from, where you are today, Patrick, starting out, thinking about starting a lifeguarding training company, right? Leapfrogging it to where you could be a decade from now, with the processes and procedures and systems and all the things that you need to have in place 10 years from now. Imagine doing that today.
Well,
and kicking off with that information from the start. How about that foundation?
Or even just a lot of the stuff that it's a lot easier to do in the moment and when it's happening versus going backwards and trying to catch up on all of it.
100%.
It's
That's
like
the foundation.
It's like letting an inbox sit there, for lack of a better example. And
she's looking at me.
What? Well, maybe, but when you have 10 emails, it's not so bad to sort them. But when you have 10,000 emails, or maybe it's not quite that bad for some people, maybe it's a couple hundred, that becomes a much larger task. And so taking care of things as they come versus having to go back and fix them later is going to be a lot faster and a lot less frustrating too.
Right. So first thing I would say to you, Patrick, is I would go through this course, Start to Grow, because section number 1 is how to start your business. All right. We're going to be talking about your location. Like, is this going to be mobile? Is this going to be from home? Do you have a shared workspace? Do you have a franchise? Do you have a physical location, brick and mortar? And we're going to be talking about location. We're going to be talking about your structure. Is this an LLC? Is this a corporation? Is this a nonprofit? By the way, we set up nonprofits. So if you're considering setting up a nonprofit, we have a way where we can set you up as a nonprofit for goose egg, a big old goose egg. I mean, you can look up the numbers online and figure out exactly how many thousands of dollars it's going to cost you to set up a nonprofit correctly, or you can have us set it up for you. And it's only thing is there's a 4%,
processing.
I would say processing fee.
That's basically.
And so what that means is when $100 comes in, $4 is retained from us doing the service for you, and $96 goes right back to you and your business. And by the way, there can be corporate sponsorships to cover that 4% processing fee, by the way.
Well, as well as you just don't have to worry about all the legal aspects of it, because it's being handled by a larger nonprofit that has all those I's and T's
We're
dotted and
literally able
crossed.
to take Bitcoin donation. We're able to take cars. We're able to take land. We're able to take literally any kind of donation. And guess what? We're also able to do the due diligence behind them to make sure that you're protected. All the things that in a nonprofit that you're like, oh, I have a great idea. I want to, do this and this. But when it comes to like making sure you're doing it properly and the legal ramifications of doing certain things, that's where we come in to make sure that it's done the right way. So that's structure. Your business name, we make sure it's, go through that. What is it? USTPO something.
I don't know the acronym for it.
There's a great acronym. Registration is going to be for certain companies. You might have to have licenses. What is it?
USPTO. So you're very close.
I was very close.
Yeah.
A little bit dyslexic there, right? Federal and state tax ID numbers. These are your EINs. We have licenses and permits, banking, insurance. That's all under starting your business. Now, the second section I like to tell you about is in the Start to Grow method is how to manage your business. Now, a lot of people, they're like, okay, I started it. I got a business. It's like, okay, but you also got to manage it, right? So that's a major thing that people don't, think about or look, right?
Or overthink.
Yeah,
And then
accounting.
don't do.
Number one is accounting. You need to make sure you have a bookkeeper. You need to, if you don't know how to do it yourself, hire someone, right? Because you don't want to, 3 years into it, hire someone and be like, dude, what have you done? And then have to go back
and think of that to yourself.
Or yeah, exactly. So you got accounting, bookkeeping, CRM. Does anybody know what a CRM is?
If they've watched this, they do.
They definitely know. If this is your first time, maybe not. But if this is not your first time, a CRM stands for customer relationship management. There are all kinds of CRMs out there. Beth, what is the best kind of CRM out there?
The one you're going to use.
The one you're going to use.
Whenever you ask me a question, it's always nerve-wracking. I'm like, what? Am I going to know what he thinks I'm going to know?
I don't know. I'm not bad. I don't mean like that. You're going to know the answers. And then we got proposals, right? We want to make sure that you look professional. We want to make sure that there is a way to pay. That sounds good. Way to pay.
It's a nice phrase to it.
Yeah, way to pay. Because look, majority of people, what'll happen is you might call them, you might knock on the door, you might show up in person and say, hey, do you need lifeguarding training or whatever, right? And they're like, yeah, sure, send me some information. Boom, that's what the proposal is for. Proposal's preset. All you got to do is throw their first name, their last name, their email, maybe their company name, and maybe their address, and then boom, you're like, awesome. And literally, as I'm talking with them, I'm literally filling out my proposal in front of them. Okay, and what's the street address? And how do you spell the email address? Okay, cool. And then I'm literally sending it to them right then and there. And I'm like, okay, hey, I want to make sure you got it. Check your email. I do this.
Smart thing to do.
I do this on the phone. If I'm on the phone, I do this while I'm in person. Because look, a lot of times it'll go to junk. It might not even make it to junk. There are some filters out there that, if they don't recognize the email, they're not seeing it.
Well, I had that happen recently with someone who, was wanting to have a second conversation about something and sent them material and followed up. Hey, did you get the email? No, didn't get it. Wasn't able to reach it. So, currently trying to figure out how to get it through whatever blocker they have. Because they want the information and your person probably wants it too, but they're probably, unless they're extremely motivated on their own, like they're probably not going to follow up if the email doesn't come through. You need to follow up with them.
I had a nurse just last week, messaged me like, hey, I got to have the certification that you just gave me for my job. Where is it? And of course we sent it to him like a week ago, and it was a spam blocker. It was a junk thing. So I was like, hey, check your email. I'm resending it right now. I'm also texting you a link to do this and this and this, right? So sometimes you got to hit them at multiple angles. And so that's just part of the process of having the proposal system that we're talking about. Now, the next thing is social media. Social media is free marketing, okay? It is 100% free marketing. So the way you got to do it is, it'll be explained in the video, so you got to check it out. But next thing is file storage. Okay, so I'm just kind of going through these for you because I know that these are probably things that you're like, oh my gosh, I thought about this, but didn't even think about that. That's interesting, right? So I'm just going to kind of hit the high level of what the content is in this course. By the way, the course is $297. That's $297. It's yours forever and ever. There are workbooks. There are like all kinds of things in there. So this is bang for your buck. File storage. So we talk about how to keep your files, where to keep your files. Follow up. We talk about follow-up campaigns, because guess what? 2% of the time you're going to have a one call close. If you're not following up with anyone, you're only getting 2% of the leads that you're talking to.
Is that a good percentage?
That's
I don't
horrible.
see that as a good percentage,
That's
but
horrible.
Maybe you think it is.
That's just me. We talk about email. Make sure you have a professional email. What is a professional email? A professional email is one that doesn't say at gmail.com or at yahoo.com or at whatever.com. It needs to say at yourcompaniesname.com. And by the way, we can show you how to do that for free.
Do you have that in, or have we updated that?
We're gonna. We'll,
do we need to update that?
I think we'll just put that in the bonus.
Yeah.
We'll add that to the bonus for sure.
So we need to get that in there.
I like that. And then website. We talk about websites. And then the third and final piece to the puzzle is the growing aspect. That is sales, operations, marketing, and administration. That we call it, SOMA. Did that go through? Oh my gosh.
You're just so emotional about that.
I'm so emotional. I burped. That's what happens. How to grow your business, sales, operations, marketing, administration. Those SOMA, those are all parts of the business except for the visionary. That's you. That is the business owner. All parts of the business except for you. So we dive in deep for the sales, operations, marketing, administration. Patrick, I hope this was helpful for you because this is what we do, man. And if you can't tell, I kind of geek out on it, right? So this is so much fun for us because we get to provide, first of all, this, Rescue Owners Live is free. All the content that we talk about here is 100% free. There are some paid options. And speaking of paid options, I do want to throw out another link for you. And I literally just created it. So get excited. We are putting on sales execution workshops. We actually have 4 workshops. Number 1 is the sales execution workshop. Number 2 is the marketing execution workshop. And then the third one is the business boot camp, the 10X business boot camp. I got the hat, got the click. I mean, this is everything, right? So for those of you who do not know, Grant Cardone, I am a Grant Cardone licensee, and I am licensed and trained to deliver all of his content, such as the sales execution workshop, the marketing execution workshop, and of course, the 10X business boot camp. And so these are incredible things that every single person in this room should and needs to, be a part of it, because this is going to help grow your business to the next level and allow you to, not just scrape by. Okay. So we actually have a sales execution workshop this Saturday. It's about sold out. So if you're interested, go ahead and jump on in there. That's the link I just sent it to you. We talk about the elements of the perfect sales process. We talk about the greeting. We talk about fact finding. Remember, the quality of your questions determine the quality of your results. So if you're asking
100%,
if you're asking dumb questions, can you talk to us a little bit about something that you tweaked recently in the questions that you asked for sets and like making appointments?
I would say, and this isn't necessarily maybe exactly what you're asking for, but being careful with how you ask questions, in the sense of, a lot of times when people get started with a new industry or new job or starting sales in the first place, they can tend to have long questions or questions that lead people to answer a certain way in a non-beneficial way. For example, would you say that that's true for you, or is it XYZ? And maybe that XYZ is you unwittingly giving them an out to not directly answer the question you first asked, instead of just saying, or is this true? Or why is that the case? And then letting them talk. Keeping your questions really concise and then shutting up and just letting them
multiple
answer.
Questions like rapid fire is confusing.
Either asking multiple questions or asking a question and then answering it for them. So like if you ask a question, you go, well, it's this, right? And then they can just simply say yes or no. Whereas instead, if you can just ask them the open-ended question, they're going to talk a lot more, and you can learn a lot more to be able to better either direct them to the right product or whatever the case may be. You're going to get a lot more information to be able to work better with in helping that person, that client, than if you end up giving them a yes or no question.
And what was you were telling me something maybe earlier today when I think it was Elijah that was telling you how to ask it in a way to help them actually show up for the appointment.
Yes. So depending, on your industry, if you're less pressure, it's best to let questions, especially like appointment setting questions, if you're setting times to talk to people, have it be an open-ended question in the sense of you're giving them an out. So instead of saying, when do you want to set your appointment for, say something like, are you interested in setting up an appointment? And asking it in a way that they feel comfortable saying no, essentially. Because that way, if you have people that truly aren't interested, or they're just not a good fit for your product, or for whatever reason, they don't feel like it's a good fit, they're going to say no. Or they're like, yeah, you know what? I really don't think, I want to. And they're going to feel a lot more comfortable to say that. Whereas if you just make it a blanket question of, when are we going to talk? Those people who aren't comfortable with saying no to you and that confrontation, they're going to be like, well, let's talk tomorrow at 5. Does that sound good? Okay, great. And then they hang up and they're like, I have no intention of showing up for that. And you call them at 5 the next day, and it rings and it rings and it rings and it goes to voicemail. And the next thing you know, if you call back, it's getting blocked. It's going directly to voicemail. You're like, they didn't really want to talk.
So this is basically a time saver, as well as making sure that your time is valuable, and not wasting your time.
You want to talk to the people who are interested in actually talking with you about your product, your service. And if someone's truly not interested, then it's really a waste of both of your time, really. It's not beneficial for either party.
Oh, I love what you just said there. It's a waste of both of your time.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one-sided here. It's not just the person on the call trying to make a sell, not just their time wasted, but you're also wasting their time because, hey, the product or service that you're trying to sell them isn't what they need at this point in time.
So, or they're not at a place where they're willing to even consider it. You should always, as a ethical salesperson, want the product to truly benefit the customer. And if it doesn't, then you're either on the wrong product, or they don't need you and you're trying to force the sale. Because it could be true. Maybe they really don't need it. And so you just need to be able to get good enough with your line of questioning to be able to determine the difference. Whether it's truly that they don't need your product and that's why they're saying no, or if they're saying no because they're scared, or they don't see the value in it and you haven't properly explained that, or a number of other things. You need to figure out and be able to dig into that and figure out the underlying issue. Because if they truly don't need it, then great. Okay. Have an awesome day and, wish them well.
Love that. Absolutely love that. So some other things that we're going to be talking about at the sales execution workshop is not only the greeting, but also fact finding and the demo. This is where you actually get permission to explain to them what exactly it is you're selling, and maybe even show them. Because, hey, listen, if I can show you, I'd much rather show you than tell you.
Yeah.
If I can't show you, then I'm going to verbally tell you. If I, hopefully I'm in person, and if I'm not in person, then then I'm talking, and then lastly I'm texting. Right? I mean, it's like hit them all the ways, but the best way to sell is in person with a visual aid and literally showing them. It's very powerful. Next is the close, followed by follow up. Okay, because look, 2% of the time you're going to close on the first call, right? So how many times do you need to follow up? Well, between 5 and 12 is a magic number that you'll close 80% of the time.
Well, and remember too that that's why it's so important to market. And I think we talked about that last week. The weeks are blending together, but that's why it's so important you market, because all of those are also touch points. So you can end up, if you have your marketing dialed in, because we talked about geofencing. Could geofencing.
Oh yeah.
You could potentially be the third, the fourth, the fifth touch because you've already followed up with them multiple times through marketing, that they've seen your name enough times that the first time they're like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yes, it's solar. Maybe they're like, I've thought about having solar. I wonder what that would look like. And then they get another targeted message because maybe they interacted with that, or you're just hitting that same group of people multiple times. They're like, you know what? I really should get more information on that. And then by the time that you actually reach out to them, they've been touched, say, like 4 or 5 times. And they're like, you know what? I thought about this a number of times. Yeah, let's talk about this. I would love to learn more. And they're going to be a lot more open to the person who has not seen anything about solar. They've not really thought about it at all. They don't really care whether it's electric or not. And it's still electric, but where it comes from. And so that person's gonna be like, I don't know, like, because that's our first touch. So they haven't really, you're not top of mind for them. You're not something they've been mulling over as they fall asleep at night. And so they're going to be less likely to hop on a phone call with you or invite you into their house to do a demo than the person who you've been hitting up with marketing.
But also keep in mind that we have an educated consumer. What does that mean? That means that they've done 90% of the research before they even reached out to you or considered filling out a prospect form, right? Yeah. So by the time they get to you, normally they already know your competitors probably better than you do. They know the pricing. And so, like, these are things that you need to be aware of as we have an educated consumer now. It's not like it used to be back before the internet times, which, I mean, that was before I was born.
Well, and yeah. And really, it doesn't take them that long to do it.
No.
Because they're hyper focused on that one product or that one thing. And so they're going to delve into that. And they're going to say, okay, well, I want to know the features and benefits of this, features and benefits of that, the pricing differences, what does this company stand for? And really, by the time that they do that, or depending on what your product is, they've Amazon reviewed it, or they've looked up review sites and pages, they're going to know so much that you don't really need to sell them the product. You need to convince them that they're ready to do the thing that they've been thinking about doing for who knows how long.
Yeah. Hey, who here would like to know our sales process? Hey, if you would like to know our sales process, stay tuned because I'm about to tell it to you. So here's the thing. God, man, I got my nose is sniffled. Sniffled. All right. Hey, listen, if you're liking what you're hearing so far, do me a huge favor. A huge favor.
Word will never be the same.
It'll never be the same. Go ahead and hit that share button. We are streaming to you live from YouTube, from LinkedIn, and yes, Facebook. So wherever you're listening from, go ahead, hit that share button. So, because I guarantee you someone in your network needs to hear what we're talking about here tonight. And now back to the sales process. So the sales process, by the way, here's best practices. You should be able to advertise your sales process. Would you agree?
Should be upfront, open, not hiding it away.
Yeah, customers should not be in the dark. Customers should know exactly what's happening next, and they should know what to expect. Because look, when people are confused or that's not good at all. So number one is the greeting. You need to have a stellar greeting. Number two is the fact finding, straight to demo, close. And close, by the way, can be good or bad. Someone's going to close, right?
Yes, there's always going to be someone that closes.
At all times.
They're selling you or you selling them.
Ooh, write that down if you're taking notes. Say it again.
They're going to be selling you or you're going to be selling them. Exactly. And technically, both of you are going to be selling each other. It's just a matter of who wins.
Exactly.
Who closes.
I love that. Oh, man, that's great. So that's depending on the close, right? Will depend on the follow-up, okay? The type of follow-up. You got two types. Number one is for the success, meaning you got the close, you close, and you're now asking for referrals. Maybe even before you deliver, the actual service. Hey, can you go ahead? I mean, I do this all the time. I say, hey, are you on Facebook? Awesome. Go ahead. I need you to like my Facebook page. Yeah, let me show it to you. Yep, there it is. Boom, click. And then I would love for you to write a 5-star review. I just say 5-star review. I just say it. I just straight up say it.
If they don't want to, they're going to do something else anyway. Exactly. So you might as well ask for the 5-star.
I ask for what I want. I say, hey, I would love a 5-star review right here, right now, where you can tell people about your experience with our sales process. Can you take 3 minutes to write this down? Awesome. I'll wait for you. And then boom. Now you have a review on Facebook, right? And By the way, these are things that people are looking for. When they shop you, they're looking for the reviews. They're looking, okay, what kind of reviews do they have? 5 stars, 1 stars? How many reviews do they have?
And also, it's good to ask people for that because maybe not 9 times out of 10, but real close to that. People are not going to give you a review unless they had an absolutely horrendous experience or an absolutely like blow you out of the water amazing experience. And that's not to say you shouldn't be always aiming for the blow you out of the water amazing experience, but sometimes that can be based off of, as things as simple as how good their day was going. So maybe they had a horrible day and they had an amazing experience with you, but it just evened out to being like a pretty good sales call in their mind. That it was like good, but not spectacular just because of where they started out in their day. And even honestly, for the ones that are blown away, sometimes they get busy and they just don't ever fill something out. I know the number of times I write reviews are not super often, to be totally honest, unless I'm given some sort of incentive or specifically asked. If I'm asked or I'm given an incentive, I normally do. So
honestly, people don't need an incentive. They're willing to help out. They're willing to, give back in their mind. And
they're both good. I'm just saying it's not bad to offer an incentive.
Of course not. Absolutely
I enjoy
not.
incentives.
I mean, I enjoy incentives too. Don't get me wrong, and I love giving them out. But I'm saying that if you're just starting out and maybe you don't have a budget for any sort of incentives, what you can do is just simply ask. By the way, I ask people who don't even buy from me for a review. And I get it sometimes.
Yeah, because sometimes, because
they actually like me so much, they like my sales process, but maybe they don't have the wherewithal. What is that? The wherewithal is the ability to actually make the financial purchase, right? So either number one, they're not the decision maker, or number two, they don't have the wherewithal. Those are the only 2 reasons why someone's not going to buy from you, by the way.
Well, or maybe it didn't make sense for them, whatever your product was, but they know people that it will.
Yeah.
And so like they were awesome. I can tell that they would do an amazing job. They worked me through the process really well. I'd highly recommend working with them.
Yeah. And like that referral, like ask for the review and the referral. Those are the 2 things I always ask for, regardless of whether they close or not.
Well, and there was it Cutco?
Whether I close them or not.
Was it Cutco or something else where they always ask at the end, who specifically do you know that would love these or use these knife sets?
I'm not sure who originally started that, but I guarantee you most people do that now.
Yeah, so that's a great way to get it, especially if you have someone that's like, oh, okay, so say it's a knife set, say it's a Cutco knife set, and I'm trying to sell it to someone. They're like, you know what? I actually have 2 amazing knife sets. Like, I don't know. I got married twice and I got knife sets both times. Whatever.
Not really.
This is an example.
You're gonna have some like church women calling and writing in and being like, Beth, this is your second marriage.
Anyway, so this hypothetical person. I have to say that. This hypothetical person is like, I have 2 knife sets. I don't need any. These look amazing, but I really don't need a third. And so the person goes, okay, awesome. Not a problem. I'm super happy you have these great, fabulous knife sets. Who do you know specifically that you could give me the name of that, currently needs a knife set that's awesome like this? And so at that point, 2 things might happen. I just thought of a second one. One, they're probably going to find a name of someone to give you, but you need to be specific. You can't just be like, do you know someone? Can you give me the specific name of someone who could really use this knife set?
Let's call them right now.
Awesome. Get their name, get their number, get their contact information. Don't just have them be like, oh, I'll give them your information. Great. Totally fine to do that. But if I can get their contact information, their name, their phone number. The second thing is you've just created a new idea in that person's mind. Depending on what the product is you're selling. Now, if you're selling something like gutters, this probably won't happen very often. But if it's a tangible item like knives, they might be like, oh, you know what? That's a really good point. My niece is getting married and she doesn't have a knife set. Maybe I'll buy one for her. So now you put the idea out there of like, oh, is there someone else that you might want to buy this item for, even though you don't need it yourself?
Do you see how the quality of your questions determine the quality of your results? Like if you were never to have asked that question or asked a stupid question at the end, that's a good question to ask. Who else do you know? right? That might be interested in.
Another really good question to ask throughout your conversation that's really small and fairly, just short check-in point is, does that make sense? Because you are connecting with that other person and making sure that everything you've just said actually computes. And you're giving them the ability and the option to be able to say, actually, you know what? The last thing when you mentioned that part about XYZ, that was actually sort of confusing. Could you say that again? Whereas a lot of people nowadays, if you were to not ask, hey, does that make sense? Would probably just let you keep talking. They're not going to feel comfortable interrupting you and saying, hey, that thing you just said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
A good salesperson is not going to be talking a lot, though. They're going to be asking questions.
Well, but like at the point where you're like demoing,
Sure.
For example, you're going to be talking more. So at the point that you're like explaining anything to them or telling them about the product, especially over the product part, because you might end up, you want to get to where you don't use any industry specific words that other people won't understand. But you might occasionally accidentally throw some in, or at the beginning, you might do it more. And so that, hey, does that make sense? Or if you're explaining a process that's new to most kind of people, like if you're helping them invest in something and they don't understand much about it, so you're trying to simplify, asking, hey, does that make sense? Is a great question, because if they go, yeah, of course, then they're on board, as well as they're agreeing with you. So you're getting a yes, which is always good when you get an easy yes.
And think about this as a principled matter too, because you're trying to make sure that they're engaged and you're trying to make sure that they are on the same page, right? So for me, if I say, hey, does it make sense? That can come across as rude, just like how I say it sometimes. So don't get caught up in like any kind of specific verbiage. What I do sometimes is I say, hey, what questions do you have for me regarding blank? And that would be whatever section I just covered. And that allows it to open up the floor to make sure that, hey, do you have questions? Does that make sense? So like make this your own. Like by no means do you have to use these exact phrases, but the idea here is to make sure they're on the same page, make sure the questions are answered, and make sure they're engaged.
And I would practice too, like if you're worried about tone, practice your tone. Like ask certain questions of family, friends, and then be like, did that sound good? Like, did that sound like I was just asking you a question, or did that come across aggressively? But you can always, rewrite the verbiage for yourself, but also just be careful, like how your tone comes across, because that can 100% affect how someone feels comfortable wise with comfortability. It's a weird, I don't know, how comfortable someone feels talking to you.
Hey, so real quick, I do want to take a quick minute and recognize, hey, we just had Memorial Day. And for those of you who enjoyed a 3-day weekend or however long you took, maybe you're still on a weekend long trip, I do want to take a moment and thank those who have served and paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we could be here today and enjoy the freedoms we enjoy. It is absolutely incredible, the nation that we live in, because of that very thing. So I'm extremely and forever grateful for all the people who have served and gave their life so that we can enjoy ours. I'm also very grateful for their families, because they sacrificed a lot and they're still sacrificing through the loss of their loved ones. Back to the sales process. Look, that is our sales process, right? That is our perfect sales process. But guess what? It's not the only sales process. So what I would like to do right now is kind of give you a little, parameters for how you should create your sales process. Every sales process should have a few key things. And if you're taking notes, I want you to take notes on these. Number one, it should be simple. Like there's no need to complicate it. It's a sales process. We want to be able to duplicate yourself when you hire someone on. So we want to make sure that that's simple, not only for the employee that you're going to be the new salesperson, but also for the consumer that you're walking through the process. It needs to be simple. Number two, it needs to be transparent. Remember, we talked about how you should be able to publish your sales process. There's no reason, there's no proprietary blah, blah, blah that should be hidden. All right. I mean, it is a sales process is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about, the delivery of the content. That's proprietary potentially, right? But the sales process, how you get a consumer from point A to point B, and point B meaning where you're able to actually service them because they close themselves, is you got to be transparent. And by the way, that is one of our core values, transparency. And if you've ever taken one of our marketing execution workshops, and our core values: inspiration, discipline, accountability, transparency, alignment, and results. There's 6 of them. And I don't have to look at anything. I got them right off the top of my head. I can say them at any point in time and explain each and every one of them, right? So you need to be able to have those core values yourself. Why? Because if you don't know how you're making decisions, if you don't know what you stand for, how are you going to find, attract, and align employees to help you build your business? Because guess what? You can't do this by yourself. You can't, you can build something, but you can't change the world by yourself. You need a team.
There comes a point when you need other people.
And if your vision is so big, our vision is to create a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. That's a pretty big vision. That's a worldwide vision. And so look at Elon Musk. He's going to Mars. That's outside of this world vision, right? People are
galactical.
People are attracted to that. They align with and they retain. Elon is able to retain people because of his mission, his vision, his core values, and these are the things that he has built. You should not shy away from building your small business, because every business starts small. Having a good foundation, right? So number 2 is be transparent. Number 3, be easy to promote. All right, your sales process should be easy to promote. Number 4, make your intentions clear. Okay, you got to make sure that your intentions are clear. Hey, the reason for the call: my intention today is to have you on X product delivered by this date and seeing results by this. Those are my intentions. Okay. It is so important to state your intentions so people know where you're going. Number 5, qualify with hard questions. Qualify with hard questions. Again, the quality of your questions determine the quality of your results. And if you're asking dumb questions, you'll get dumb results. If you ask hard questions, you're going to get results that are the type of results that you want, because they're going to give you an answer one way or the other. Yeah. Even if they hang up on you, that's an answer, right? Those are that hard questions. And by the way, when you ask a hard question, hey, what's the most amount of money you ever made in a year? Some people are so private, they're like, it's none of your dang business.
Well, and something that can be beneficial to add in your conversation, depending on what you need to discuss with the person. For example, if you're putting on gutters, you're probably not going to have to get into the weeds of a lot of personal questions. But depending on what you're selling, you might need to ask some more personal, such a squeaky noise. You might need to ask some more personal questions. Or depending on what it is, you might need to sort of coach them a little bit, or get into really, really calling some stuff out. And so asking either at the beginning of the conversation or prior to saying anything that might be a little bit more straightforward with them, it's always great to ask permission. Be like, hey, can I be completely honest with you? And they'll probably say yes.
Well, I have your permission to be completely honest with
you.
That's a good question to ask, because they might not, if you go straight from, the cold call, or maybe it's a lukewarm call, I don't know, straight to how much money what's the most amount of money you've ever made in a year?
Yeah,
there needs to be a transition.
Yes, you need to definitely have a transition, and specifically not just a transition, but a time of essentially building trust.
Right.
You need to have enough questions, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be strategic questions to build up trust between you and that person in some form or fashion, for them to feel comfortable enough to go ahead and share that information for you. And later on the call, if you need to call them out on something, if they're just being scared, or if you know that this is going to be life-changing for them in one way or another, and they really need to make that decision, you need to have the ability to have built enough rapport to be like, hey, I told you I was going to shoot you straight. And, what's happening right here is that you're scared. This is going to be perfect for you. You've told me this, this, and this, and it's going to get you this, this, and this. It doesn't make sense not to. The only thing that could be in your way is you being scared. You need to have built up enough rapport to be able to say that without them going, oh, click. Like, how rude. Right. Instead, if you build up that rapport, they're going to go, most likely, oh, you know what? You're right. You're right. I am scared. And then either they're going to go back into justifying, but XYZ. And you're going to have to keep working them through that. Or they're going to be like, you know what? I am scared and I do need to do this. Let's make it happen.
I was just like,
I think you were waiting for me to keep going.
You were on a roll. I was like, okay, is she going? Nope, sounds a hard stop. Number 6, always push for the sale. Always push for the sale. Why? What's the purpose of the call? The purpose of the call is to close them. The purpose of the call is to be able to close them so that you can properly service them in whatever you're providing for them, whether it's a product or service. So always push for the sale. Why? Because I know that their life is going to be better with the product or service than without it. They need it now more than ever, my product or service, right? And so with that knowledge that they need it, my product and service now more than ever before, I'm going to push for the sale because I know they need it and I know that they'll be better for it. And so therefore, I have a moral obligation and duty to make sure that they get the product.
Or if you know that they're definitely buying this, like maybe they have a plumbing issue. Usually with plumbing, it's more likely that if they call someone, they're going to use them. But as an example, something like that, you know that they need something. Maybe they're looking for a lawn care person and they will need their lawn mowed and they have no intention of doing it themselves. Well, then it's your job to close them because you're the best lawn care person out there. And it doesn't make sense for them to have anyone else taking care of their lawn because they're not going to do as good a job of you. So at that point, it's a matter of A, believing that you're the best option there is, and that truly being the case. And B, hey, they're going to buy from someone. They should buy with me.
Why not you? Because guess what? Down the street doesn't come with Kirk Mote. Down the street doesn't come with Beth Mote. And so these are the types of things. If you have a good rapport, you can say, hey, if the price were the same, who'd you go with?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you're building a relationship with them. And, again, that's not to say it's like, forget them and move on. Like, you should definitely know who they are and you should definitely more than just like getting the sale, but build a rapport, learn who they are, start caring about them and have them care about you and they'll want to work with you.
By the way, sidebar. It is so vitally important. If you have a phone number, answer the dang phone. Okay. I can't tell you how many times I call a business and no one answers or it goes to voicemail. And I never hear from them for days and weeks and maybe even months in some cases. And it's like, why would I give my money to someone who's calling me back a month later? I've already found someone else. And in some cases, I actually had one today. I answered the phone, walked them through the process, sent them the invoice. And in the process of sending them the invoice, they had found someone else.
They were Googling while they were talking to you.
I texted them. I texted them while I was on the phone. I mean, I do things fast, right? I texted them while I was on the phone, and then I literally followed up the second I sent the invoice, which is like minutes later, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, I found someone else."
I gotta say to those
what?
CPR instructors, like that's not uncommon.
Hey, collect the money on the phone if you can.
That's the best get them way locked to do in it. while you're talking to them because
if you got a way to get the money collected while you're on the phone, take that credit card information and get them secure right then and there. Boom.
I would say lawn care is another one that I think probably falls into that category where if you there are certain industries that if you aren't like closing within minutes and seconds, people are like, oh, you know what? I found someone else.
Yeah. So like things like this happen to everyone. So don't feel bad. But if you're not answering the phone, guess what? You should feel bad because you're missing all that opportunity.
Yeah.
because people want stuff fast. We live in the information age. We live in the age of technology. We live in high speed. All right, like information's coming at you so fast. And if you're slow, if you don't know your information, if you don't know your numbers, guess what? Trust is lost like that.
It's like a sloth.
Yeah. At the DMV.
Yeah.
Oh man, what movie was that? Was that like a singing
It
movie?
was like it was I think it was
Singing-
Zootopia.
Okay.
Yeah, kids movie. It was funny though.
We have cousins. I think we went to watch it with.
Yeah, that's an old movie. I think that was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
Number 7, always agree with the buyer. All right, that doesn't mean that they're right, but it means that you're in agreement with them. What that means is you're being positive, never negative, right? We don't want to become negative because no one buys from someone that's negative. No one buys from someone that they disagree with. Always agree with the buyer.
Well, also just saying no
Don't say
and
no.
arguing with them.
There's no need for that.
Very frustrating.
Oh yeah, there's ways to get around saying no.
Yes, there's 100% ways to say the exact same thing as no without saying no. And as the buyer side of things, I know when people have told me, no, that's not the product you need. Like, I know that's what you're saying you want, but you should do this instead. And then they argue with me about it. It just makes me frustrated. And even if your product is better for what I want, you need to do a better job of explaining why, or at least humoring me and telling me about that product and then saying, but you know what? I think I have something that would fit what your need is even better. Boom. Wow. How much better would it be to hear that, to have my question answered in a maybe more shortened fashion than you normally would for someone, because that's not really what you think would be the best product for them. And then to follow up with, but you know what? I think I have a product that would be even better for you.
I'm interested. Tell me more.
That would serve you even better. Would you be interested in hearing about that? Now, suddenly, instead of saying no, I've gotten you to say, yes, I would love to hear more about that.
Ooh, that's good.
Tell me more.
All right, number 8. This is one of my favorite right here. Show proposal to every customer. Show a dang proposal to every single customer. How can they buy if they don't have a proposal? It's impossible. If they don't have a way to transact with you, sign a contract, pay an invoice, there is 100% likelihood that they will not transact.
Even if it's just a link to your website.
Oh, dude.
If you have an online way for people to purchase your product, send them a link to the exact product you just talked about so that they can check out. If you don't have a way to like take payment over the phone.
I mean, like,
or just fill it out for them.
Yeah, like I do it all the time. We have an e-commerce store, which means I can pull up an e-commerce store and check out as if I'm them. And so I just act like I'm them. So when I say act like I'm them, I'm literally putting in their name, their email, their phone number, their mailing address, their credit card information, and boom.
And you're just asking them, hey, what's this? What's this? Okay, perfect. Confirm it. I'll throw that in there. Just confirm the stuff that you get.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to look at it before
Always
it's entered.
good to confirm. So, but number 8, one of my favorite ones is to show a proposal to every single customer. Because guess what? A sale cannot happen without that proposal, without a way for them to pay you.
Yeah.
Number 9, always use third-party touch. This could be a manager call. This could be a manager saying, hey, this is Kirk with Rescue Site. Understand Beth has been talking to you about whatever. I just want to know, why haven't you bought? And then guess what? You're going to get an answer.
Yeah.
That's a third-party touch. I mean, there's a million different ways you can do a third-party touch. You can have your kid call. Daddy's not allowed to come home until he closes you. I'm just kidding. I mean, you get creative, right?
Dad said you didn't want to buy. Why is that? They're like, you can make, it doesn't have to be like pull your heartstrings, make you feel like a jerk. Like, it can be a simple like, hey, my dad said you weren't interested in purchasing this product. Why was that? They're probably going to respond to the kid, because I'm not saying there aren't people out there, but most people would feel like a complete jerk hanging up on a kid. True. And it also gives your kid the experience of A, talking to a stranger, which is good, not bad. B, it gives them the ability to practice asking questions. And C, it allows them to go through that process and get comfortable with what it feels like to have a dialogue with people in that facet.
Yeah, I love that. Always, number 10, always attempt a second sale. This is huge.
Like,
Okay.
all right, clarify a second sale.
A second sale means you just close somebody on the first sale, which means that they have received the email confirmation that their sales order, their purchase has come through. It hit their email. It hit your email. Like the payment is good. No credit card issues. You officially have a sale. That's sale number 1. Sale number 2 is, hey, thank you so much for buying that defibrillator. That is awesome that you are taking your health and the health of other people seriously by making sure you have one in your home, your office, and your workplace. And like you just walk them through, make sure that you make them feel like, man, they just made the best decision of their life because they have. All right. So, hey, congratulations on buying your new defibrillator. Would you like, I'm just thinking about this. Would you like to have some backup set of pads? Or maybe even a backup set of batteries? You don't even think about that. Go ahead and throw those on there. Okay, cool. And then now we ring them up for the second sale. That is essentially validating the first sale. Okay. Like they're looking for reasons to validate that first sale. And the best way to validate that is by having a second sale to enhance what they already bought, whatever that might be. I just use defibrillators because rescue site. All right. That's what we sell. Creating a world where no one dies from sudden cardiac arrest. Are you rescue ready? That is your home. That is your office. Are you rescue ready?
Well, but think about it. Like a lot of places do this, and you don't think about it because it's like,
I can't say rescue ready. I'm sorry. Are you ready to rescue? That was the one I can't say. Are you ready to rescue? Rescue ready is a trademark's name.
I was about to say you're over here like creating issues.
Yeah. So if anyone's ever listening to this, I need to 100% give credit to Zoll Medical. Zoll Medical bought Cardiac Science. Cardiac Science had something called, or I guess still does have something called Rescue Ready Services. Full disclosure. That's my disclosure. All right, there you go. What we say is, are you ready to rescue? There you go. Because that's not trademarked. Maybe we should trademark that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Don't get any ideas, all you people watching millions back home.
Technically, I think we can have it trademarked simply by logoing it, and then you can follow up with paperwork later.
So always attempt a second sale.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to tell you about your sales process is always use instant follow-up. What is instant follow-up? That is a text message while you're on the phone. All right. That's how I do it. All right. If I'm on the phone with somebody and I say, okay, hey, what is how do you spell your first name? Boom. How do you spell your last name? Boom. That's the second text, by the way. And then, okay, give me your email. And then I type it in the text message that I'm sending to them, because it's like we're now communicating in more ways than one at the exact same time. Now I have a record of the cell phone number because I know that they can receive text now. I make them, hey, check to make sure my spelling is correct. And they're like, oh yeah, you misspelled my last name or whatever, right? And so they're going to correct that right then on the phone. This is instant follow-up. Yeah. Okay. These are ways to get right in front of them as quickly as possible. And so that is, in a nutshell, kind of, one of the opening sessions that we get into during our sales execution workshop. So if you are interested in learning more about sales, and when I say sales, I mean the sales process. So your greeting, your fact finding, your demo, the close, the follow-up, as well as we're going into inbound sales scripts and outbound sales scripts. We'll have the perfect script ready and done. These are done for you workshops. Yeah. So that you walk out of there with not a to-do list, but a to-done list. Okay. I know that sounds cheesy, but that just kind of came out real nice. So listen, if that's something that you want to do, there's a couple spots left for this Saturday. It's an all-day thing. The link is in the chat. Make sure, I'm going to refresh, make sure that everyone sees that link in the chat there. Coming at you in T-3, 2, 1, and internet is still working. There it is for you. So if that's something that would be helpful for you guys, I would absolutely love to have you join us in Atlanta, Georgia this Saturday. And we do this we do a workshop every month. So we bounce between the sales, the marketing, and then the business boot camp. So depending on the month, make sure you sign up for it, and I promise you, you'll walk away just blown away with how much you didn't know. And guess what? Just like everything, full money back guarantee. If you don't feel like you got your money's worth, we're going to take your, of course, your workbook back because you can't keep it because you're saying that it wasn't helpful for you. But I'm going to give you a money back guarantee. So if you're ever worried about money, I don't want money to come between me and you. And I will always make sure that we can work out something. So listen, this has been an excellent episode of Rescue Owners Live, Season 2, Episode 21. And we will see you guys next week for our 1-year anniversary. And until then, be great.